instead of trying to be average at everything you think people want you to do, be best at 1, 2, 3 things that you are truly good into, excel at those things, and the rest, if you really need them, hire someone or leave them aside. And that's also part of your personal brand, knowing what to say no to and knowing how to choose your path.
Hi, Anna. Welcome to the Growth Blog podcast. Nice to have you join us. How are you doing today?
It's amazing to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for making time for this and inviting me. Super excited, super happy for our talk.
Yeah, same here. So personal branding, all the amazing stuff
Yeah,
you're doing. How is it
yeah.
going?
Well, good. So right now, as you know, I have a lot of things on my mind, personal, business wise, but personal branding, I think it's here to stay. So it's a living thing. It's a living and breathing thing. It always grows, especially because it's so personal. So there's always something good to do about it. Well, maybe we'll talk about it. I'm not even sure how I ended up doing just personal branding, but I definitely love it.
Yeah, I think probably that's where we should begin with. You started off working in a corporate job, and over time you've transitioned to now founding your own company on personal branding. What was that journey like for you, and what inspired it?
Okay, sure. So I gave this to myself pretty much to talk about. So I have always been in marketing. I have always done
Okay.
marketing, client management, client relationships, growing not necessarily their personal brands, but growing actually their marketing strategies. So this has always been something, if you want, close to my heart. I have spent more than 15 years in corporate roles. My history, professional history, has been always one of change. I have, for example, graduated high school with a technical degree, and then I moved to the first university that I studied with a very human side degree, so foreign languages, actually, to be more precise. Then I moved into economics and law, but in parallel, I was doing website designing and actually
Interesting.
PR. And then, my first job was technical support for a company, but I also ended up in marketing and sales. So I always love to learn the multi-facets of people and businesses. And most of my career has been in PR and marketing,
Mm.
actually. After a while, although I was very happy, I learned a lot. I traveled the world. I lived in I don't know how many cities now, but I lived all over the continents. And I was just frankly speaking tired, physically tired, and very much away from my family, and without actually building a family of my own. If you travel so much,
Yeah.
it comes without saying. So I completely gave it up. I took that chance. I took that risk. It was scary as hell. I thought I'm going to live under a bridge for a while. And this has happened like 8 years ago now.
Mm.
Yeah, something like that. I had no plans. I had no direction. Where should I go from there? I didn't really have a path, like I'm going to do this. I knew I had to do something on my own, but I didn't know exactly what. So I experimented. Well, the first
Nice.
month, actually, I just took off and slept. and then uh, and then I experimented. I started to make purses. Obviously, it didn't go. I started to make art as
Mm.
well on the side. I started to make photography, whatever. So I had no idea how that works. And then I got into a crowdfunding project for a board game,
Okay.
and that's how I came back to my love for art and for marketing. And from there things grew. On the side, I actually started to paint very
Mm.
seriously. I think you see in my back as
Yeah, I
well
can see it.
some pieces. So for about 3 years, between the moment that I gave up my corporate job
Yeah.
to moving into my agency right now, I spent like 3 years doing mostly art and side little
Mm.
projects. without having painted since school, since kindergarten school.
Yeah.
And I have trained myself online, and things grew from there. And I started to make wearable art as well, and many paintings. I started to sell them, which was fantastic. People wanted to buy
Nice.
my paintings in my gallery as well. I was like, I was just crumbling that. Do you really want to buy it? Yes. Okay, thank you. So, here you go. But it was fun. And while doing this painting and side jobs,
Yeah.
so I told you about that crowdfunding project that,
Yeah.
told me, hey, I really love marketing because I've been there for so long. And while painting and interacting with other creative minds,
Yeah.
and artists especially, I realized that they are having a huge, tough time showing up, putting themselves
Mm.
online. And I'm obviously an amateur. I mean, yeah, I'm just a painter. I'm not,
Yeah.
Chagall or Matisse. I'm not a huge painter, but these folks were fantastic, were so talented, and all their pieces were amazing. And still they had almost zero sales because they had no idea how to come up online. So they thought that they have
Mm.
to be connected to someone who is very well connected to other people in order to sell. So all these things together, long story short,
Yeah.
I realized that I can help them. And things started to grow from there. And I obviously helped them for free for a long time. But I realized that the personal branding is the most important thing to put online, whether you're an artist or a business owner or founder in tech, or, creative mind in a different space. Knowing how to put yourself out there is the number one strategy that should be in your game plan. It's free as well, it's organic. So all you have to do is to just honestly put a strategy together and do it, and not occasionally but consistently, in order to to make yourself heard and to bring the right audience to you. So that's how the transition went. If you wanted to hear the long story, which I just gave you.
For me, it's fantastic, and I like the fact that you took 1 month off to sleep.
Yeah,
Because I think it's necessary. Like, it's a huge change, it's a huge shift, and for you as well, it was about experimenting. It wasn't like you were very sure of what to do immediately, which most people
yeah,
were not sure, right?
yeah,
So it's always good to take that time off to just refresh, re-energize, and then come back completely refreshed
yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you speak like you know it, and every time I hear people saying, oh, give up your 9 to 5 and start
yeah,
to be an entrepreneur, it's much easier said than done. It's
yeah,
scary, actually. So I had a lot of experience in my back, right? So I was not a
yeah,
newbie. I was also paid very well, and I had a VP
yeah.
corner office and all that shit. So
Wow.
I was very well settled when I did this, and still I had no idea what it means to be an entrepreneur. Actually, some of the toughest things to do were to manage my own calendar.
Mm.
So when I was waking up in the morning and I had no meetings in my calendar aligned, I was like, what am I supposed to
What am I
do?
going to
I
do?
I had no idea. It was so hard. It might sound stupid, but it is tough. And if you're used to being not an entrepreneur on your own, not to manage your
Yeah,
time, your finances, your budget, your forecast, your clients by your own, but everything is given to you. Even if you do the work, you just know how to do that work very well,
yeah,
but you have no idea what the other things imply. So these things like not having a sure income. I had no
yeah.
income for about a year, and
Wow.
it was tough.
That's,
It was really tough.
yeah,
I had moments when it was from being able to buy whatever I wanted to actually counting my pennies. It was very tough. Not knowing where to go for clients, being truly feeling like an imposter, asking people for
mm,
money for your services. I was like, everyone should know this. Why should anyone pay me for this? And you discover lots of stuff. So I would say, if you want to be an entrepreneur, the sooner the better you do it, to see if that's for you. That's great. I don't think there is one way to do it. I don't think you should put money aside and then leave your 9 to 5 or do it in parallel. You have to discover what works for you, obviously, but expect it to be tough, and expect it not to be for everyone. I now work more than I was working before, but I love it. I wake up, smiling and happy to do this every day.
Wow. That was a whole lecture on its own that I think people need to listen to, mostly those in 9 to 5 that think sometimes entrepreneur is fancy, like you just leave and with all your experience, it's like copy and paste.
No, no,
Yeah.
it's not.
So
No, it's not. It's only the title, so and especially while you scale up, you're responsible for other people
yeah.
as well. They depend on you. So even if it's just one person in your team, you're responsible for them. So it's I mean, for me, it's fantastic right now, but it's a huge challenge, and you need to be ready for it. And I don't think everyone is cut for it, and that's fine. That's
Indeed.
perfect, because we cannot all do exactly the same thing.
Yeah. No, some people function best in a 9 to 5 job. And for me, I always tell them you don't need to do something else. If that's what you truly
Yeah,
enjoy, that brings you satisfaction, pays your
yeah,
bills, please.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And some of these jobs today are amazing. My job was amazing as
Mhm.
well. Client management. I was again traveling a lot, meeting lots of people, working with huge names. So I was working with people and with companies I completely
Yeah.
admire even now. I was working with Nike at their headquarters in US. It was amazing. But it has to work for you from
Yeah.
every aspect. And that's where I think personal branding also plays a huge role, because what personal branding is knowing a bit who you are, what is more important for you, what is your why, what's your
Yeah.
vision, how you differentiate yourself from the others, how do you show up online and offline, what people say about you when you are not there. It's not just a
Mm.
cliche or a nice quote. It's really about that. What do people find out when they Google you? you know so this is all part of your personal brand. And the more, I obviously help leaders put this together, because I know they don't have time to do it, not because they don't know how to, but they don't have time. And then help them build a strategy to show up online. But the more you do this exercise of knowing exactly what you stand up for, what you don't
Yeah.
stand up for, who you are not, what you talk about, what you don't talk about, and all these things that combined form your personal brand. The easier is to also know what you're going to do. Am I going to continue on this path, or take a different path, or mix them, or whatever you want. So that's why I think that personal branding plays a huge role, whether, regardless of the fact that you are employed or not, or I know, an artist, or, a swimmer.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. In fact, I have a 9 to 5, which I truly enjoy, love it. But I'm so keen on building my personal brand around both what I do and things I'm passionate about. And for someone out there, and I think one of the biggest challenges I've seen with mainly those in corporate is most people don't see the need for it, right?
Yeah,
Most times
yeah,
they don't see the need for it. And even those who do see the need for it, they struggle with what should I do? How can I differentiate myself? Like
yeah,
we have so many software engineers out there. So how can I build a personal brand? So to coming to you, first of all, why should they even build a personal brand? They have a stable income, they have a good job, they enjoy what they do. Why should
yeah.
they build a personal brand? And then secondly, for those who want to, what are some things they can do to help them differentiate themselves on this journey of building a personal brand? Yeah.
So I think that the reason why they should have a personal brand is because they need to stand out, especially because there are so many other people doing exactly the same thing, and so many roles that are exactly the same ones. So, you either agree or accept to be part of a mass of people who do the same thing and have the same title and the same acronyms, in your headline, or you stand out. The reasons for which you stand out are more important. Why do you want to stand out? Because even, if I put there, instead of an entrepreneur, I put, a cool creative mind, just to, be different, I won't accomplish anything. If I do it because I know my path is in growing in a creative industry, then it makes sense. So, start with, why is that important to you? Why do you want to stand out? Do you want to stand out for, and there is no right or wrong reason. You just have to have a reason and be clear about it. I want to grow my career. I want to retire early. I want to start my own business. I want to start a family. I want to be known for this topic. I want to, publish a book, whatever it is, so be clear on your why before how to stand out. And the easy answer for me, in terms of how do you differentiate yourself, because it's very hard for you to know. You know yourself, but many of times we don't know exactly what makes us different in front of others. So we try to improvise, and you say, yeah, well, I'm smart, I have these certifications, I have these awards, I have been to these events, I know these people, I read those books, but these are not that important. So the easiest answer for me to that question was, what do other people say about you the most? And you need to be very honest with yourself and hear it. And don't imagine it. Don't think about, what do you think other people say about me? Oh, they say I'm smart, or, I'm very hardworking or reliable. No, that's crap. Leave that aside and actually listen. So, for example, one thing that, people said about me, which at first intrigued me, I found it like, in between funny and why, was that I'm bubbly, And when you hear someone say that person is bubbly, you think, what the hell does that mean? But when you hear it twice, you have to really think about it and dig deeper. And this is a stupid example, a very small example, because obviously they say many other things, but pay attention to things like that. So when I dig deeper and actually ask them, why am I bubbly? What does that mean to you? Or in what context did they say that? I realized the fact that they loved, that I was always finding lucrative, creative solutions to whatever the problem was. So even if my task, for example, is to help you create a content strategy for you, for LinkedIn right now, let's say it's just one part of that, but you have no idea what to write about, then I will come up with ideas. So that for them meant bubbly, and always having this positive attitude and creative mind. And once I knew that, I knew what mattered to them, what they saw differently in me. And if you talk to your friends, your clients, your managers, your colleagues, you will find those things out. And that's what differentiates you. And now pick from those things what it's also important to you, what makes you passionate about. And those things become part of your personal brand. And of course, improve those that you do not like. So
wow.
makes sense.
I think that is just so spot on. Like, listening to how people perceive you, and truly asking questions, because they can use different words, but engaging them to understand what they are really talking about. So you have like a couple, and then probably what ties most to what you want to do, zoom into it while you still try to develop the others.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There is also another thing that I see happening a lot, especially with very young leaders. And nowadays, all the SaaS founders are very young, which is fantastic. When I say very young, I mean 19, 20, 21 years old. So they try to still please other people and try to be what they think people want them to be, in a certain way. And they think they need to be, I think I need to be, a great leader, a fantastic expert in XYZ. And I would definitely say, don't try to be anything else. So for example, in my job, again, I should be more analytical. I should look at the data. I should have spreadsheets, looking at impressions, volumes, etc. I hate that part of the job. I really hate it. I resent it whenever I need to be very, very analytical. My skin becomes bubbly. Because I have this very, very creative mind, probably, So what I do is that now, instead of fighting it and trying to be something that I'm not, I hire a person for that aspect, give them a job and make them happy because they like to do that. And then I can spend my time and energy on something I am best at. So instead of trying to be average at everything you think people want you to do, be best at 1, 2, 3 things that you are truly good into, excel at those things, and the rest, if you really need them, hire someone or leave them aside. And that's also part of your personal brand, knowing what to say no to and knowing how to choose your path.
Don't think people would have thought about it that way. What you just said now, in terms of more or less leveraging your strengths, managing your weakness as part of your branding. Sincerely, I've not thought about it. The ability to do that as
Yeah,
something that can even be part of
yeah.
your brand.
It's
Wow,
such a huge
wonderful.
topic, it's such a huge,
Yeah.
so many great possibilities. It's not only the logo and colors and the selfies, it's all this, because once you put it all together and you know who you are, then you can
Yeah.
create whatever content.
Lovely. Yeah, because the idea most people have, or I initially had about personal branding as well, was colors. And I'm not saying those things are not important, they are, but it transcends those things. It's who you
Yeah,
are, how you show
yeah.
up, how you perceive yourself, how people perceive you as well. Okay, so if someone wants to now start. I know we've talked about things they should look out for. For me, I'm a LinkedIn person, all right? So let's talk platforms. If
Mm-hmm.
you can just share a bit about that. From your experience, what are some things how they can do, say even on LinkedIn, to start, yeah, to get the ball rolling? What are some maybe tips, tricks they can just
Yeah,
that way?
yeah, I think so. First of all, just start. If someone wants to just start right now showing up online, just start. Don't wait for tomorrow. If you lack time, to create, really, to make an objective strategy and to
Mm,
make an assessment, or probably not even if you lack time. I think it's very good to have an objective opinion first, to have someone who has done this before for many other people and whom you trust. Okay, so whom you see the work and trust that person, for your reasons, to make an objective audit assessment. Like, how do you look like right now in front of the others, and then compare that to how do you want to look out, or to look like, uh, for yourself and for the others, and put your strategy together. Start with your why, start with why you're doing this, and give yourself 3 goals, not 10, but 3 goals. One
mm.
short term, one medium term, one long term. Okay, for the sake of simplicity, start with those. Make them very simple, very clear, very tangible. And once you have this, it's very easy then to progress to, okay, what is my identity online? How do I look like? What will be my banner saying about the others? What do others need to know about me? What colors do I need to put in there? What type of content do I need to
Yeah.
create? What type of visuals do I create? With what people do I communicate? Who is my community that I want to attract? But start with the basics, and the basics are
Yeah.
your goals and your why. Then how you compare today with whom you are in reality seen. Okay, maybe you are seen just as a CV, so you have to change
Yeah.
that a bit. Then build your identity, which is all the nice stuff, the pretty colors, the banners, the looks, the content, the website, whatever. And then get into community building. That's for me the logical steps. And it really
Good.
helps to have this objective opinion in the beginning, of having
Mm.
someone who has done it for others, not only for themselves, tell you how you look like, because it might give you some great ideas to really start and work upon.
Oh, very structured method you just mentioned. And I hope people do
See,
listen
I'm
to this.
structured
When I
too.
read, yeah, I noticed. So probably when I do a summary of the podcast and put in notes. So I'll add these points for people to just quick, structured way to start. This has
Nice.
been amazing. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are. Can people reach you on LinkedIn? How can they get hold of what you
Absolutely.
do? Yeah.
Absolutely. So now I'm Anna Calin on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
but I'm sure you'll give them the link as well. Happy to connect. The
Yeah.
LinkedIn is the best way to reach out. I also have a free newsletter where I'm sharing, weekly, bi-week, twice a week actually, tips, tricks, actionable things about personal branding. But happy to connect, happy to interact, happy to talk to anyone who wants to reach out.
All right. Thank you so much. And thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I really appreciate your time as well. Thank you for doing this for me at this time. And yeah, I know you also have a busy schedule. Talk soon.